The story begins in the distant future, where the sea levels have risen due to rapid climate change, so humans decide to move to space by building 80 shelters between Earth and the Moon's orbital planes. After a grace period, shelters number 8, 12, and 13 broke away and declare themselves the Adrian Republic and began attacking Earth and the other shelters, leading to decades of war between them and the Allied forces. The humans left on Earth continue to produce munitions to help with the war effort. Jung-yi regains consciousness on the battlefield to mechanical footsteps approaching after an explosion rocked the place. She quickly gets up before she's spotted and begins to engage the enemy bots. The veteran soldier moves efficiently through the battlefield, dispatching her attackers using a myriad of different techniques despite being outnumbered. She receives radio contact with the command center, wanting to know her and the team's status and if they manage to reach the fuel rod. The captain alerts them that she's alone and the situation is not looking good. Their conversation is interrupted when a hail of bullets and rockets come flying in their direction. Jung-yi immediately finds cover and is informed that Adrian Republic has a new robot, and to defeat it she must disenable its battery at the rear. All the while, it is scanning the area looking for her heat signature and begins to fire when it locks on. The captain rapidly moves through the battlefield to get into a better position. The robot realizes this and begins to move with equal speed, looking to cut her off. Meanwhile, Jung-yi is ambushed by an enemy unit which slows her down, but HQ alerts her that backup is on the way. They can't come fast enough because the advanced machine has caught up with her and begins to fire at her while she tries to evade it. She obstructs its view by shooting a pipe that gushes out a flammable liquid all over it, but it proceeds forward. By this time, the captain is set up and fires a rocket at the robot, which engulfs it in fire. Just as she thinks the ordeal is over, the machine extinguishes the flames and carries on as if nothing happened. Jung-yi finds cover somewhere and hides, but after it scans again, the robot finds her. As it fires, she slings herself quickly out of harm's way, which causes the debris to fall on the robot. This creates an opening for her to take the finishing shot, but she pauses for a moment, giving backup the chance to shoot her hand, which sends her back. She gets up to check her wound, only for her to realize that her hand is cybernetic. But before she can panic, the captain pauses in place, and a buzzer sounds as the surroundings begin to disappear to reveal a simulation room. Some engineers come into the room complaining about the results as they do their checks. They are joined by their team leader Yoon, who inspects the android as her subordinates hype up the skills of the legendary mercenary the robot was based on. She interrupts their rambling, alerting them to close for the day because they have some important guests arriving soon. They proceed to disable the android from combat mode and escort it through the facility, which seems to be both a research and manufacturing plant. The majority of the android is dismantled, leaving the head and upper body. Meanwhile, Yoon makes her way to a briefing room where Director Sang Haeon prepares exquisite food for their visitor. The team lead feels like it's a bit too much, but he assures her that they will love it. He proceeds to boast about how well prepared he is with his presentation, but when it comes to the main event, he stumbles on his words in front of the big men. He tries to save face by signaling his subordinate to play the video presentation he put together, but that doesn't impress them either, so they are forced to cut it short and allow Yoon to take the floor. During her explanation, it is revealed that their team is developing an AI, which comprises the data of the combat skills and experience from the brain of Captain Jung-yi during her final mission. To test their results, an android operating from the collective brain data completes a simulation of that mission, and the behavioral patterns are stored and analyzed. They intend to use the simulation to extract the improved combat memory data to create an AI with unmatched performance. Some say they use ChatGPT version 5000 to create the framework for their project. Her superior is interested to know if it escaped the simulation, to which she answers no. He brings up the fact that if the real Jung-yi had completed the mission all those years back, they would have won the war. Although she was still hailed as a hero for her other achievements, the citizens are starting to attribute her mission failure to the continuation of the war. The director explains that they are only taking the competent parts of her and improving the rest. Yoon assures them that the AI captain will succeed in the initial mission and redeem the original's dignity. After the meeting, the director pulls Yoon into his office and alerts her that high-ups will greenlight the mission if the AI can beat the simulation. It is also revealed that Captain Jung-yi is Yoon's mother, so there is that familial aspect for wanting to see the work succeed. But she attributes any victory to the chairman who took her in and gave her a better life. She excuses herself so that they can begin processing the data they collected before they try something else. She makes her way to the lab with Kyung, where they activate the captain in her stripped-down state to run more tests. She is disturbed by her state and begins to scream at them. Yoon has seen enough and deactivates her and considers it a failure, so she orders Kyung to destroy the brain. During the process, the complexity of the artificial brain is exploded for all to see. After the procedure, the two make their way out where Kyung discloses that the main reason he wanted to join the team was that he is a big fan of the captain and saw her as a superhero when he was younger. Yoon breaks his fantasy by revealing that the reason her mother kept fighting in the war was to save her. When she was younger, a tumor was found in her lung. The treatments were expensive, so the only way her mother could pay was to become a mercenary. She always feared that one day her mother would die fighting in the war while trying to save her life. In a cruel twist of fate, the day she got surgery was the last time her mother went into action. Yoon also wonders if her mother regrets sacrificing her life to save her. A tone-deaf Kyung suggests that the team leader ask her mother during the next processing. She agrees, and then quickly informs him that she has an ethics test, so he should finish their processing report. On the train ride to her test, she gets a flashback to the day of her surgery and how happy her mom was that she was getting treatment. She snaps back to reality and completes her ethics test. She is informed that the results will be sent to her employer, after which she makes her way to visit her doctor, who informs her that her tumor has returned and has spread to her major organs. He alerts her that she has 3 months and suggests that they copy her brain and transfer it to a prosthetic body. The procedure has type A, which is the most expensive, and gives the individual full human rights with total data privacy. The next is type B, which is less expensive but prohibits certain rights like marriage, freedom of movement, and adoption. Also, the government has full access to one's brain data. The final option is type C, which is free, but you don't have any human rights, and one surrenders ownership of their brain data, which allows certified companies to own it and do what they will with it. Countless clones will be created, so the person will no longer be an individual. That was the contract her mother signed. She pleads with the doctor to allow her to process the information before she makes her final decision, and also asks permission to see her mother while she's at the hospital. As Yoon leaves, it is revealed that the doctor is an android. While she watches her mother in a vegetated state, Yoon thinks back to the day her grandmother signed the captain's brain data to the corporation, but it did include Yoon's education and living expenses. One of the suits tries to comfort her by giving her a figurine of her mother. Back to the present, her now old mother lies in a pod on life support. Yoon gets a little emotional looking at her in that state. Later on at the lab, the team work on the next brain prototype with the enhancement from the new information. After completion, it's placed into the android's head ready for another run. The team prepares for another test, but this time Sang Haeon proposes they try something different. He suggests that before starting the simulation, they should inflict a gunshot wound to the android's leg, to which they comply, but Yoon is not comfortable with that decision. The simulation starts, and Jing Yi winces in pain as areas of the brain which register agony light up. The director orders the lab tech to make it red for easy identification. Soon after, she is apprehended by the enemy unit, but she still decides to fight back and takes out a few of them. The area that is responsible for the motor moments are coded green. The captain is eventually overpowered and pinned down, which causes the pain to start spreading across the brain, but Young Yi doesn't give up and begins to fight back. This activates a different part of the brain that registers higher mobility than the green signal. They label it yellow, which gives her second wind to destroy more enemies, but before they can observe it further, the simulation ends when she gets shot in the end. The director gets angry as it means that they can't study that brain, but luckily, they mapped the neural pathways so they can study it digitally. He is happy with this breakthrough since they have a briefing at HQ with the chairman the following day. The time comes and the team make their way to the main office. Upon their arrival, they are surprised that their meeting is going to be assessed by the newly created product development department. A frustrated Sang Haeon swallows his pride and gives the presentation to the condescending head of the new department. After that setback, they use it as motivation when in the lab. As they examine some prototypes, the director is informed that the chairman has come on a surprise visit. He decides to go with team leader Yoon to see him. As soon as they enter the room, Sang Haeon pauses, suddenly revealing that he's an android. The chairman giggles at his little prank and proceeds to have a chat with Yoon, where he informs her that they are going to cancel the combat AI project because an agreement is being worked out by both sides to end the war. He instead wants them to apply their research for commercial products, which devastates her, but she can't complain. The chairman reveals that Sang Haeon was one of his first creations when he was trying to live forever. He knows that it is going to be hard for him to take, so he will let him down easily at the right time. He activates the director again and pretends like everything is cool as he laughs at his jokes. The old man dismisses Yoon so that he can have some alone time with his creation. On a later day, the team go through another simulation, but the captain fails at the same place. This makes Sang Haeon livid. He wants to know if the yellow area has shown up again, but they inform him that it hasn't appeared. At this point, he knows HQ's plans, and he wants to use this short period to make a breakthrough. They all gather for processing, and the director begins to take drastic measures like attacking the android's arms, and he also shoots the legs hoping it does something. Yoon has had enough of his antics, so she takes administrative access to stop the bad conduct. Sang Haeyeon gets offended and points the gun at the team leader, but she stands her ground. The tension is broken when he's alerted that the chairman has requested his presence at HQ. She dismisses everyone so that she can work alone, but her chest starts to hurt. She notices that some of the data is not present, so she goes to Kyung's place to investigate. She barges through to find him with one of Jung-Yi's androids in a not-safe-for-work outfit. She is mortified with what she's witnessing and covers her mother. Kyung explains while being strangled that he's product testing for the company, and they want to use the captain's image in a more adult way. Yoon lets go of him to make her way to the lab. Sang Haeyeon lies there sad, revealing that the following day will be the final simulation. With sad news confirmed, she goes to chat with the mother in the processing room and manages to activate the yellow areas. It lights up when she's talking about her daughter, and she divulges how she lost a good luck doll Yoon gave her on the battlefield. That's the reason why she always failed at that point in the simulation. It was because she saw a similar one in a car which took her attention. Yoon starts to cry now that she knows that her mother loved her deeply. The following day, they prepare for the last test, and Yoon decides to set it up herself since it's the final time. She takes administrative control and lowers the yellow part of the brain and then whispers something into its ear. They go through the simulation, and she fails at the same point. They wrap this up and send her away. The director senses something different and checks the footage again and realizes that Jung-Yi dodged the bullet now that the emotions didn't impact her attention. He immediately asks them to sound the alarm as the AI has gone rogue. Simultaneously, the captain attacks her handlers and begins her escape. She's shocked when she enters a room full of her clones. All the while, the director uses the AI to hunt her down. She engages them, and after a long brawl, she defeats 2 of them. As the third tries to finish her off, Yoon comes in and disenables it. She takes her brain and puts it into a third attacking android. The police get on the scene and shoot the empty captain shell. One of them gets access to the CCTV cameras and finds that the team lead did a perfect job. The police dispatch a unit because the mother and daughter are on a train outside the city. It is revealed that Sang Haeyeon is on the train, and he shoots Yoon for wanting to leave them brainless. The captain gets mad and fights with the director. He gets injured and realizes that he's an android too. As the two fight, they are joined by the police. After a difficult scrap, they dispatch the police and Sang Haeyeon. The mother and daughter have their closure. Yoon wants her mother to live for herself and enjoy the world. She escapes to the wilderness and looks to her new world. That brings the movie to an end.